What's up? What's up? Coming at you from my car, trying to find the best setup here. I hate how my hair sometimes looks like one side's so much bigger in video. What's up, everybody? We're talking fat loss after 40. I'm coming at you from my car because that's where I am right now, because that's real life, right? It is Tuesday morning here in South Korea, Monday evening for most of you guys in the United States. And today I am officially kicking off this Fat Loss After 40 series that I want to do this week. So this is day one of Fat Loss Over 40. I turned 40 actually today. Today is my birthday. Thank you, thank you. Today is my 40th birthday. And yes, I'm actually currently in a fat loss phase. And it is every May, I'm in a fat loss phase. I feel like this every single May, like every single birthday of mine, there is in some way I am like thinking about or dealing with the things that people typically want to do on their birthdays and the things they want to indulge in and enjoy, coupled with the fact that, you're very conscious, nutrition conscious, body conscious, calorie conscious, all that stuff, has been a theme. It's funny because I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about actually how far I've come, because I can actually, think about birthdays in particular. Like if I just track back like birthdays and how I've always felt on my birthday and what that's looked like and how I've handled it, because like I said, it's been every birthday, because just around May, that's when, summer's coming and all this stuff. And I remember my 21st birthday in particular because I remember my best friend and my roommate at the time made me a cake. And it was the only acceptable cake that I would eat. And it wasn't actually a cake. It was Jello. It was 10-calorie Jello cups. She had bought a bunch of 10-calorie Jello cups, had turned them upside down and like emptied them and stacked them into a cake form. And then, because we were 21, I guess making Jello was too hard. We didn't have a bundt pan. But she stacked them all up, and then we used fat-free whipped cream to like top that off. And that was like the only thing I would allow myself to eat at that time. So I've come a long way, considering yesterday, actually, yeah, yesterday we celebrated my birthday and I had my birthday dinner yesterday just because today's too busy. And I ate as much Stouffer's mac and cheese as I want, crab legs dipped in butter. So I've definitely come a long way. Yeah, but it's interesting to mark like the different ways that I viewed nutrition and my body and all of this stuff over the years. So I want to talk about really what it actually takes to lose fat and feel amazing in your 40s, because a lot of times women in particular feel like it becomes so impossible or so much harder. And there is validity to that. I don't want to take that away. It is harder, but it's definitely not impossible. And it's not even close to impossible, actually. I am actually much happier now. And I told you guys, I opened this by saying I'm currently having the most successful fat loss phase that I've had in years and years and years. And I'm turning 40. So we're going to talk about that and how to lose fat and feel your best 40s and beyond. All right. So we're going to dig into why it really does feel harder after 40, but also why it's very far from impossible. And we're going to talk more about like exactly what to do. But today I want to debunk a couple of myths. So if you are here live, please say hello in the comments. If you are watching the replay, please go ahead and comment below replay so I know who's here, who's engaged, who's paying attention. That would be awesome. I'm also recording this so that I can send it out to my email list. I had people, I announced this in my email, and a lot of people seemed interested in hearing the replays that aren't super active on Facebook. So I'm also going to be sending out these replays. So if you're watching this replay via email, please go ahead and respond to the email that I sent you. Let me know that you watched it. All right. So talk a little bit about metabolism and debunking this myth. I have a client call directly after this, and my phone is reminding me to do that. So I need to make sure I snooze those alarms. So metabolism, you've probably heard people say that your metabolism kind of slows down when, in your 30s and 40s, and that it becomes way harder to lose fat because your metabolism is just slowing down, right? But that's not really quite true. What's really happening is a couple of things. It's actually not true at all. So if you actually look at studies where they compare the actual metabolic rate, your actual metabolic rate as it is, your resting metabolic rate, when you're comparing people who are similar activity levels in the different age groups, you don't actually see a pure decline in metabolism in itself until beyond, I think it's like mid 60s, 70 years old. Okay. Your metabolism just doesn't automatically start to decline once you're in your 30s and 40s. What does start to actually decline is your muscle mass and your bone density. If you are not actively using your muscle, your body starts to naturally pare it down starting around 30, unless you're doing something to fight against it, right? Less muscle is going to lead to fewer calories burned at rest. It's going to lead to a lower metabolic rate, right? Add to that a more sedentary lifestyle, which people do end up having when they get older. We also have increased stress. We typically have poorer sleep, and boom, fat loss starts to feel a lot more impossible. And I am an example of how I have an example, a personal example of how I kind of wanted to blame this. And now, when I was living in Germany, I was very, very active. And the reason I say when I was living in Germany is because that in my mind is how I quantify that time frame. Like that to me is like where, you know what I mean? And in that time of life, I was still getting I was doing all the same things I'm doing now, right? I was getting my steps. I was strength training, 3 to 5 days a week. Like I was the same. And this was between 7 to like 10 years ago, right? So I was like in my early 30s and doing everything that the same that I'm doing now. But when I left Germany and I moved from Germany to San Antonio, uh, over the course of a few months, my baseline weight increased. So my baseline weight was about 28, 29, 31, 32, yeah, it was about 5 pounds difference. My baseline weight. So my lowest weight when I was living in Germany was now not, it was 5 pounds lower than my lowest weight when I was living in Texas. And I could not seem to get below this new lowest weight, which was 5 pounds heavier than what I was used to being. And I would always wonder, I think it was like a solid year or two. I was like, I'd go through fat loss phases and I still couldn't get below that number, right? What changed? What changed? Is it just that I'm like getting older? Is it just that, all these things, I'm still getting my 10,000 steps. I'm still strength like nothing's changed. But when I actually stop and really think and get critical and I look at my lifestyle, I was riding my bike everywhere. I rarely got in my car. And that didn't really add to my steps. A little bit it did, but it didn't really. So it wasn't, I couldn't really count that in there, right? And I was walking everywhere. So yeah, that adds to my steps, right? But I really think when you think about like that bike riding, like literally that's it. I think I was just so much more active. And a lot of people would say to me, oh, it's the food. It's the food in Europe compared to the food in the United States. No, that's not it. I'm telling you, that's not it. I really believe it was because I was more active. My lifestyle got more sedentary. Now, even though I'm still hitting my 10,000 steps, even though I'm still strength training, it's different. And even when I was strength training there, another little thing that adds to like overall activity level is I used to strength train with a friend and we would blare the music and we would dance like in between sets. And so like little things like that, I was just way more active. I burned a lot more calories. And so doing the same things isn't necessarily working anymore. And it actually took a while for me to actually dig deep and recognize that, because for a while I was thinking, but no, my step tracker would pick up stuff like that. And it really doesn't. It really doesn't that much, right? So it really isn't the age, it's these adaptations that we tend to go through. Okay. And those adaptations, this is actually a good thing because those things can be reversed and we can identify those and we can adjust those. All right. Another common thing is like hormones, stress, insulin sensitivity. So yes, again, this is valid. Estrogen is naturally declining as we get older, and estrogen is really like our powerhouse as women. And this is going to start to decline, even if you're not technically in perimenopause or menopause yet. It's already happening in your body, and you might not notice it yet. So that is going to affect fat storage patterns, like where we're holding body fat. Our overall like hormone levels are kind of getting a little bit more disrupted because of those natural changes, but also because of the stressors that we might have in our lives. So we've got cortisol a lot of times is more elevated in women around this age because of everything that we're doing to ourselves and everything that we're adding onto our plates and etc. So it's often going to be higher in women juggling work and family and aging, and that's going to impact not fat necessarily, because if you're in a calorie deficit, you will lose fat, but it's going to impact your appetite. It's going to impact the way that you're feeling, and it's going to impact those fat storage patterns like I said before, that's going to make you feel like things are different, right? And also, insulin sensitivity starts to change too. The insulin sensitivity starts to decline with age, which blood sugar is going to be a little bit harder to manage, and this is going to have an effect on our on fat loss and how fast it's happening, and where we're losing fat from as well, right? So this, we need to normalize that, like, this is something that is true. Okay, so I'm not going to come on here and say, oh, it's just as easy as it was before, because that's not true, right? It is actually something that's valid and true. However, this doesn't mean that you're doomed. It just means that we need to be way more intentional with what we're doing and our habits, and our efforts when it comes to fat loss in particular. We have to be a lot more intentional. So I a lot of times will say, it's not that the shit you used to do worked so great. It's that we just can't get away with that shit anymore. Okay. We used to have these really robust endocrine systems that we could take fat loss pills and go jogging forever, and also like maybe lift a couple of weights, and we were constantly on the move, so we had these really fast metabolisms and growing bodies and whatever, and you could just do all that stuff and it would quote unquote work. I'll have people that say, like, oh, it used to be that I could just go keto and I would lose the fat and it would work, and that doesn't work anymore. And it's like, well, again, it's not that it really was ever the best thing to do. You just can't get away with it anymore because your body's like, okay, no. So the foundations just matter way more than they ever did, and sticking to them and being really rigid and being really aware of what you're doing, right? The things that you obviously can control is going to be strength training. We're going to boost insulin sensitivity massively by strength training. You're going to increase your muscle mass, reverse the loss of muscle, right? Prioritizing protein, which is going to help stabilize your blood sugar as well as building muscle and keeping muscle. Managing your stress, so helping to keep your hormones mostly in check. That those hormones. Now, obviously, we know that hormones, you can still lose fat even when your hormones are not where they used to be. You can still lose fat. I am not an endocrinologist, though, and no coach that you see online, actually, I'm sure there's some that are also endocrinologists. Most coaches that you see online are also not endocrinologists. So when you see people saying, oh, do this to fix your hormones, do this to manage your hormones, oh, it's not really your hormones, it's this. Nobody really knows you. Okay. Nobody really knows. And hormones is such a buzzword right now. So, yeah, I can tell you exactly what you should do to optimize. That's the word I really like. Optimize your hormones right now. Does that mean it's going to fix everything and make it perfect? No. However, I do strongly believe that women need to optimize where they're at before they go and try to seek outside help from an endocrinologist. Does that make sense? Just because you are struggling does not automatically mean it's your hormones. And that's something I'm going to talk about later on this series. I have another story of me literally saying, oh my gosh, maybe it's just my hormones. And then realizing, no, it's not, Jamie. You know what I mean? And this is me, like, being training for 10 years, and I talk about this every day. So optimize where you're at before you go get external help. All right. Um, Lifting and protein obviously matter way more. If you want to burn more calories, the answer isn't more cardio, it's more muscle. Strength training is really going to help preserve that lean mass. It's going to help protect your metabolism. Eating enough protein really becomes a non-negotiable as we get older. I always thought I'd become less protein obsessed as I got older, but I'm actually becoming, well, I was never protein obsessed, very protein focused, but I thought that would decrease. I've actually become more protein kind of obsessed because of all of the evidence that shows how important it is for women. Strength training is going to help preserve that lean mass, but so is protein. Okay. Protein is going to help you maintain that muscle. It's going to help curb your hunger. It has the highest thermic effect. It's going to really help with fat loss. And also, people just don't eat as much naturally. And then we get older and we want, we have kids and we're eating off their plates, and carbs and fats are so easy to find. So it's more so just that we need to focus on it more, right? And then recovery and sleep and smarter dieting are really, really important. So in our 20s, we could sleep 5 hours and survive on coffee. Not anymore, right? Sleep is going to impact hunger hormones like ghrelin and leptin. So you're going to feel less full, more hungry. Your appetite's going to be all over the place. Your mood's going to be all over the place. Your energy for your training is going to be less. So you might get in there and get your workout done, but you might be not as effective as you could be if you were obviously well rested. Not getting enough sleep is going to impact your body's ability to lose fat. It's going to be a lot more resistant Or you're going to end up losing muscle as well as fat at a higher rate. So sleep is so crucial for us as we get older as well. Recovery is very crucial. We need to train like we want to be strong for life, not like we're just trying to like, ego lift, right? And smarter dieting. So the answer isn't necessarily just eat less and move more, because that was always like the old school advice. It's really like eat smart and how to fuel and training smarter and recovering smarter and really looking at the big picture. Okay. So yes, things are going to change after 40, but with the right approach, fat loss is 100% doable. You just need a plan that kind of works with your body and not against your body. And that is what I'm going to cover moving forward in this series as well. So if this resonated with you, I'd love for you to join. I'm going to have a 2-week free fat loss challenge starting next week. If you are interested in that, I'm going to talk about it every day this week. Totally free. All you have to do is just give me your email address, literally. So if you're interested in joining that free 2-week fat loss challenge, kind of help give you the structure and the support that you need to reach your fat loss goals, whether you're currently in a fat loss phase and you just feel like you need a little bit of a boost, a little bit of a jump, a little bit of a kickstart, maybe some support and accountability, or maybe you haven't started that at all and you feel like you could use all of that structure to get started. Whatever it may be, I'm going to give you a free opportunity to join and get that structure. Completely free fat loss challenge. It's specifically designed for women 35, 40, and plus who want to stop spinning their wheels and actually start seeing some progress. So comment below if you're interested. Just type like fat loss challenge and I will make sure that I reach out to you when I've got that ready to go. I will see you guys tomorrow. What is my topic tomorrow? I don't even know. So today was kind of just like an overview, right? Day 2. I'm going to talk to you about my birthday. So today's my birthday. I turned 40 and I ate cake and mac and cheese and still losing fat. So I'm going to talk to you about why and how, and all of that stuff. How you can have times where you literally just eat whatever you want and still see that progress. And it's not just unique to people who are genetically gifted. Okay. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Also going to talk about what actually works now, exactly what you should be doing, common mistakes that women make over 40, as well as really hitting you where it hurts, why you're not consistent, because if you're struggling, likely there's a huge issue in your consistency and how to fix it. All right. So I will talk to you guys then. Thank you so much for being here. Fat loss after 40, doable? Yes. We're going to do it together. Chat soon.